Welcome to Endurance Noise Daily. I'm Andy Noise, and this is the Endurance Noise of the day, September 20th, September 2020, September 12th. It is a Saturday. Vin Lahanen, who was in charge of the U.S. track and field for a while, he was the famous coach for University of Oregon, and now he's coaching somewhere on the East Coast, I think Virginia, but I may be wrong. Don't quote me. He says college track and field programs are quintessential examples of diversity on university campuses. Hard to believe that this has been overlooked in Minneapolis. And yes, Minneapolis, scene of so much racial strife in current affairs. They now have got rid of their men's track and field, indoor and outdoor. And, I know with this budget cuts and stuff, and then they get rid of men's sports because they got to stay in Title IX compliance. But I saw somewhere it's only going to cost like $1.3 million to keep the program running. You'd think they could find that kind of money. Plus, as he's saying in this article, that, the most diverse team in sports on your campus generally is track and field for diversity. So it's a shame, but more and more schools have been dropping programs, and they dropped these programs specifically. And as I often say here in Bakersfield, it's a whipping boy, but Cal State Bakersfield, they have women's cross country, but they don't have men's, which is sad. Instead, they have like women's beach volleyball and sports like that. So if you're a local athlete here in Bakersfield, male athlete, runner, you are not going to be able to run for your hometown school because there's no cross-country team. And so being a distance runner without a cross-country team, you're going to go elsewhere. And speaking of some great talent that we had, Blake Haney, who went to Stockdale, won some state championships, went to Oregon. Remember, he got third in the 1500 his freshman year. And later, I think he had 7 All-American status. He's now running for Under Armour, and they just started up the Dark Skies racing team up in Flagstaff, and he's been part of that and running there all summer. So that's the importance of the college track. It's, we get rid of more and more of this track, we're going to do worse and worse in all the Olympics and World Championships, because Europe, they have more of a club system. Of course, a lot of the Europeans come here and run in America along with other countries. So it's kind of sad news. Some kind of other sad news, there's kind of been controversy with the not only the Great Race across Tennessee, but also the World Race, Circumpolar Race. And it's basically, Outside Magazine's got an article, and everybody's picking up on it now. It says, why is it okay for runners to push their limits and test themselves mentally and physically, but when it comes to their beliefs about who belongs here and who doesn't, why can't we test those beliefs? And basically the article is about, why did a virtual ultra ban Black Lives Matter? And some quotes from the article saying, that after Chan finished the Great Race across Tennessee, he did a report, kind of like many people. I myself finished the RAT, Race Across Tennessee, and the BAT. I went back and forth. And so he wrote a post saying that a lot of his running was late at night, and he suffered quite a bit of racial taunts and homophobic taunts, and just kind of, and he's, in his post, he was wearing like a Black Lives Matter shirt, and, but it was just kind of like he thought many other people. But then the next morning, he went online, and he noticed that his post had been deleted. There was a note from Cantrell saying, I'm 100% in agreement, but this is not a political site. And Cantrell, of course, Laz, who's put on many of these races. Chan responded with a series of Instagram posts in which he asserted that Cantrell's insistence on neutrality was hypothetical. For instance, other RAT participants had posted photos of themselves wearing Blue Lives Matter flags and had not been similarly represented. Deciding what is and is not political and always catering to one group of runners is white privilege, Chan wrote. Cantrell replied with a post in which he stated that the Great Virtual Race Across Tennessee Forum was not a place to solve the world's problems or to change society. He had a decision to delete Chan's initial post had prompted by the comment, vitriol, and complaints that the post had inspired rather than its post itself. And yeah, that's usually what the dumpster fire is and all these things, is in the comment sections. Cantrell stated that he was unwilling to allow a team to call itself Black Lives Matter, just as he would be unwilling to let a team use the MAGA acronym. If I thought one heart would be changed, it would be different. But all that would happen is this race would fill up with the same crap that permits everything. And basically, Chan wrote, the race director and many of his white customers have declared that running is their refuge. And what are they seeking refuge from? If the mere presence of an image or words Black Lives Matter with no further commentary offends them and must be deleted in order to protect the sanctity of their refuge. And then the reporter says, when I asked Cantrell about this, he insisted his virtual events were meant to be a refuge for everyone, and that he rejected the idea that it was only his white customers who were looking to escape some of the more polarizing issues of the day. Cantrell claims that the first person to submit a complaint about Chan's post was a black man. He maintained the purpose of controlling the language of team names and race forums didn't represent a personal ideology, but an honest attempt to keep things from devolving into, as he put it, pointless arguments. And, I see the point. It's kind of like running is a refuge to go, and just be about running, but I do get the point of, like, that it's kind of a white privilege thing, but, it's a whole huge thing. It's just like, I love few things on Facebook I like, but one of the things I like is following Laz and some of this race stuff, but also I like being on, like, there's this thing called Kern County of Old, and it's just got great stuff from all eras of Kern County, which is where I live, Bakersfield. But, someone posted, like, a picture of their grandparents' Dust Bowl working out in the potato fields, and they happen to be white, and someone had to put, hashtag white privilege, and then just start getting into these political polarizing arguments. And I wish so many people would realize, too, if you listen to some podcasts and stuff, that a lot of this was the Russians. In 2016, they really wanted to just cause chaos. They weren't picking sides in terms, but they were smart, and they were just pitting people against each other. And I've noticed over the past months, I've been blocking tons and tons of seemingly real people, but when you really look at them, you notice they all have common characteristics, similar professions, but they're good at it. They're really sneaky about, not like the Nigerian prince trying to get you to wire money, or, the misspellings and stuff. And it's just trying to cause dissent and annoyance. So sad, but that's kind of what the world we live in. So then David Monte said the USA will not send a team to the World Athletics Half Marathon Championships scheduled for October 17th. Rationale for not sending a team athlete-wise is sound one, but does not change the fact that it's disappointing, said the coach. I think we should send athletes there. We've had some athletes running in Europe. Europe seems to be handling this a lot better. I've been watching the Tour de France every day. They had testing on the first rest day after 9 days, and only like 4 or 5 people tested positive. None of the athletes, a couple of people that work for the teams, and then, interestingly, the race director. But I could see how the race director, because he's out there glad-handing everybody and everyone. So, you can put on these events and, getting there. My buddy Ed's been flying and going to races quite often, and the protocols have been pretty safe. In fact, he's getting on to finish yet another 100 on his march to 100 finishes. And speaking of other threats, Rich Gonzalez, Prep Cal Track, writing about that 10% of the state's population is displaced. So that's what they're saying with Oregon, that over 500,000 people may have to be forced to move around because of the Oregon forest fires. And it's just incredible. The smoke here in Bakersfield is just out of control still. And it's definitely affecting it. Maybe why I was so wasted and tired and got 9 hours of sleep. Just been training for the past week and a half or so in this high heat, high smoke, and maybe my body just said, okay, enough's enough. Some good news from Rich Gonzalez. He says, renovation complete on the Arcadia Invite Track and Field facility at Arcadia High School, home of the national records. And if you've ever been to an Arcadia Invitational, it is, what I'm saying, it's amazing. Every year in the 3,200, they'll have a dozen or more boys break 9 minutes in the 32. Just national records all over the place. And they're getting a track that's just amazing. It's going to have the same surfaces that they just installed at Hayward Field. So that's pretty exciting to see that. And hopefully that meet will be going on. I saw that Rich had already posted for the spring dates. And if you're in California, head over to that meet, because it is a phenomenal event, phenomenal for the athletes. I had never really heard about it, even though it's been going on forever, because I was kind of out of loop raising children. But when I started coaching in 2006 at Bakersfield High, as soon as track season began, that's all the kids talked about was Arcadia, Arcadia, Arcadia. And when we went down and saw it, it was pretty amazing. Just to get in the meet, you got to be one of the top athletes in your area. That's just to run on Fridays, which is mostly relays. And to run on Saturday, especially Saturday night, you are the best of the best in the nation. So definitely interesting. So this was some Endurance Noise Daily. And as always, stay healthy, be boring, not epic.